What's up guys, ThirtyIR here, bringing you gaming in 4K and beyond since 2011. So I wanted to bring you guys a special video today. I just installed the other two GTX Titan X PASCAL GPUs, so I'm running essentially 4-way SLI GTX Titan PASCALs along with the 6950X CPU at 4.3 gigs. However, you know, let's basically go for a ride and I'll talk about my experience with it so far. So just got into this nice S63 AMG V8 bi-turbo. It's pretty sick. The interior looks dope. But anyway, I want to talk about the 4-way SLI situation. As I mentioned in the benchmark videos and stuff before, I just installed them in the computer. I ran a couple of benchmarks. 3D Mark runs great with 4-way SLI, but that's pretty much it. In a nutshell, that's like the only thing that you can run with 4-way SLI enabled. So, you know, Firestrike Ultra, Time Spy, and a couple of other benchmarks that are just like actually pretty shitty. I tried to run Firestrike Extreme and I had like 30 to 35% usage across all 4 GPUs. Even with Firestrike Ultra, I saw only around like 80 to 85% usage, which actually means that even at I guess, you know, the max settings for the benchmark, the GPUs are not being utilized fully. And that's understandable, but it's kind of amazing to think about it, because a 6950X that's overclocked to 4.3 gigs essentially does not allow 4 GPUs to be maxed out, which is pretty freaking insane. So, you know, that's essentially it. When you see your GPU usage drop below 99%, that essentially means that your system is bottlenecking, or ideally or not ideally, I mean, it really means that your CPU is not capable of pushing the GPU to its maximum and allowing it to basically, you know, run wild. So if your GPU usage is like hovering around 60, 70, 80%, it means that your CPU needs to be overclocked some more in order to let the cards breathe. And with 4-way SLI GTX Titan X PASCALs, even a 6950X with 20 threads or 10 physical cores is not enough. But the worst thing of all, and this was already well known, is that in games, only 2-way SLI is enabled, and this happened ever since the 1080s came out. So for whatever reason, NVIDIA just decided to abandon 3 and 4-way SLI and just said, you know, only 2-way SLI will be allowed. So as you can see in the top left, out of the 4 GPUs, the usage is the third column over. So the first column for the GPUs is the power, then comes the temperatures, and that actually is pretty scary, because now that, you know, there's a GPU sandwich, you can see that the top GPU has like no space to breathe, and it's actually hitting 90 degrees Celsius, which is okay. I mean, it's able to, you know, these cards are well capable of running at like 95C all day long. That, I believe 95C is actually the TDP, so you probably don't want to be running it at the maximum, but 90C is not a problem at all. Anyone who says otherwise doesn't know what the hell they're talking about, so keep that in mind. In case your GPUs are hitting around 90C, for these NVIDIA GPUs anyway, they're rated to run at like 95, so don't worry about that. But it's still pretty hot though. You know, just because it's able to run at a maximum of 95 doesn't mean you should be running it at 90 degrees Celsius. But as I mentioned before, I think my computer is actually in another room, so I have like peaceful, quiet gaming in my game room, and I have, you know, there's a really good sound system, so I can just relax and listen to the sounds of the game or listen to music or whatever, and not worry about like tons of heat that's being thrown onto the computer or the fans that are spinning. I actually have the fans at 100% right now because I was running benchmarks, and at 100% it's hitting 90 degrees Celsius, which is insanely high. And of course the two cards are being utilized very well. This is pretty much like how I was running it at 2-way SLI, and I'm getting, you know, the performance is actually slightly less, and that's probably because of the, you know, some sort of anomalies with just having 4 cards in the system. Although they're barely being used, you can see the usage is like 14 or 15%, sometimes jumps to around 18%. That probably takes away from, like, you know, the full capability of the 2 cards. So instead of getting like 55 to 60 FPS as you saw in the other videos of GTA 5 that I've done recently, you know, it's actually less than that now. It's like 45 to 50 FPS, which honestly kind of ticks me off. So there you have it. I mean, yeah, you know, the 2 GPUs are not working, but nonetheless, even with 2 other GPUs working, you get worse performance than if you were to just run 2 cards in your system. And the other funny thing is, this may be some sort of bug with MSI Afterburner, but you can see the VRAM reading for the 4th card is like insanely high. I don't think that'll be true even if you had like surround 8K, because I think if my math is right, that is, let's see, a megabyte is a million bytes, right? So you have 4,158,800 and whatever megabytes. So 4 million megabytes means 6 zeros plus 3, so it's 9 zeros, which is actually like 4 terabytes, right? No, that's not right. Terabyte is a trillion. What the that's weird. Am I doing that right? Is it 41? No, okay. What the hell is going on? My eyes are deceiving me. It's 4,158,802 or whatever. The GTX Titan X PASCAL GPU in 4-way SLI. I've had it for about a day now. I installed all 4 cards in the Uber rig, and I've just been playing around with it, running some benchmarks. But wanted to bring you guys my thoughts and you know, experience so far. And to start off, I can, you know, pretty much say the stats are given on the top left. You can see all 4 GPUs up there, but only 2 of them are being used because NVIDIA has decided to GIMP anything past you know, 2-way SLI. So I guess my point was, it's not that good of an experience. I mean, I knew obviously going into it that 4 cards are not going to work for games, but I just needed to see that for my own eyes. You know, and when I had 4 1080s, I had 2 of them installed in each of my rigs, the Uber rig and the other one with the Asus ROG Swift, and I also had 2 Titan X PASCALs in each rig as well. And I wanted to try 4 cards in one rig just to, you know, for shits and giggles and run some benches on them. But yeah, I guess I was hoping for the best, but obviously that didn't really work out. What surprises me though is, you know, I'm playing GTA 5 with all the settings maxed out, just like I did in the other videos with the Natural Vision ENB mod and with all the car mods and whatnot. And with 2 of the cards working, the performance is actually quite terrible. Even though the scaling is above like 95%, I would say, maybe 92 to 95 or more percent on both GPUs, and even then the performance is you know, dropped off quite a bit, and it's only like well, it's gone down a lot here actually. It's about 35 to 40 FPS. But you know, usually I get with 2-way SLI with the Pascal Titan X's, as you saw in the other video, I was getting about 70 FPS with this ENB mod, and of course without the ENB mod I was getting like closer to 100 or more FPS, which is pretty damn good. But for some reason, having 4 cards in the system really, you know, brings down the performance, and it's highly unfortunate. But there must be other anomalies, as I mentioned before, where even though 2 cards are not working, they're probably hogging up resources somehow, and it's causing the 2 other cards that are working to not perform as well as they should. The other downside, of course, when you have 4 cards packed together like this, you know, the temperature is going to increase a lot for the hottest card, and as you can see on the top left, it's at like 89 to 90 degrees Celsius, which is pretty damn hot. Ow. But man, you punk. Yeah, bitch. Eat shit. It's too bad that 4-way SLI doesn't work in games, because this could really, I'm sure 8K would work without issue with 4 cards. I tried doing the resolution scaling in this game to 8K, and with 2 cards I get about 30 FPS, maybe 35. But this is at 5K, and the performance is, you know, is not that much better, to be honest, but that's probably because of the 4 cards in there. But just 2 cards by themselves, as I said, it's much better. So yeah, I mean, this is, you know, the experience with 4 GTX Titan X Pascals in SLI. This is pretty much common across all the games, and none of them work with 4-way SLI. And I tried Tomb Raider, which Rise of the Tomb Raider, which is a DX12 game, and I can't even like get past the menu. It just, like, you know, basically hangs there, and I have to like alt tab out of it and come back in, and it works for like a second and then it freezes again. So there's something really quirky with Rise of the Tomb Raider with 4 cards in the system. So I don't know if they enabled 4-way or whatever, but there were times when I got into the game with the 4 cards, and I looked in the graph and I saw that the FPS was around 105 at 5K with DX12 enabled and all the settings maxed out. So that's pretty cool, but it's just, you know, it's unfortunate it doesn't work properly. So yeah, they've really taken a step back, as I mentioned in the other video, but you know, you can see it for sure here that with 4 cards you're not going to get stuff to work properly. It's literally, you know, a couple of benchmarks work, and that's pretty much it. If it weren't for the benchmarks, this is like an utter waste. And I'd say even with the 2 benchmarks that use 4 cards, which is the Firestrike Ultra and the Time Spy, it's still a total waste. So unless you have 2 systems like me and you have 2 Titan X Pascals for each system, there's just no reason to get 4 of these cards. So let me know what you guys think. Leave your thoughts in the comments below, and make sure you hit that like and share this video with all your friends. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.